welcome to another episode of The Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison. I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California, in a little bit of a different place today. I'm recording in my bedroom. People are home, and this was just a nice, kind of quiet, bright spot. You can find me as Allison1031 on Ravelry and Instagram, and there is a Ravelry group if you want to join, though really it's just the link to the episode, as well as any prizes or prize drawings I might be holding. How is everyone doing in this time of pandemic? It is Monday, May 10th. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And this is kind of the first weekend here that restrictions have started to lift in Los Angeles a little bit. I think just the beginning glimpse of potentially going back to normal. I have been living, like most people, at home the last month. I actually have been home a lot more than I anticipated because I am an essential worker, but I am a construction manager and I'm kind of between jobs. I have one finishing up, one about to start, so I didn't have a lot of field work I needed to do. I had a lot of paperwork, so I was able to work from home, I would say like 95% of the time. I had to go in here and there to do a few things, but overall I have been home and that has been very interesting. I've been doing a lot of baking for me, cookies and breads and other things, which coupled with a lack of exercise, I'm sure is not good for my waistline. I haven't really wanted to quantify it at all. But it's definitely starting to feel a little tight in some of my clothes, even my comfy clothes. So I am very happy restrictions are lifting and I can get back to getting out there and doing some normal exercise. And back at work, I'm sure like most of you, when I'm home, snack a lot more. And then I haven't been snacking on as good of things when I'm at work, especially because a lot of times I'm on construction sites and I bring my lunch. I'm restricted to the food I bring and I eat better. Other than that, there's been just a lot of ups and downs like most people have had. I have my good days and my bad days. I had one major meltdown probably 3 weeks ago when I had to go to the grocery store. I had a bit of a meltdown. Not everyone is very good at following restrictions and social distancing and masks and things like that. Even requiring them in the grocery store, though everyone in Los Angeles in a store is supposed to wear a mask, and everyone kind of does. It's hard to distance in a grocery store. Even with restricting the number of people, and they tried to restrict, like the aisles are one way, and everyone just was ignoring that. So you would be passing by people, but tried not to get too stressed about it. It is what it is. I did my best and got what I needed, got out of there, and washed my hands a lot. And knock on wood, I haven't had any symptoms or anything like that, so I think so far I'm doing well. And overall, everyone's happy and healthy. My family's happy back home, all together, and we are just going about our business. There have been a lot of travel cancellations. A lot of knitting retreats and other events have had to cancel, understandably, in this time of uncertainty. And that is probably my biggest kind of uncertainty, is when I'll get to travel again, especially internationally. I'm really not sure how different countries are going to start letting people back into their countries to visit and for tourism and things like that. I think it's very much still up in the air, very dependent country by country. So I'm not sure when I'll be traveling again. Tentatively right now, I'm supposed to go to Morocco in October, but I'm not sure if the restrictions will allow me to do that. So just playing it by ear and just staying home a lot with my cat and my boyfriend. It's very interesting when we're both working from home at the same time. Usually he is out in the field, I would say 90% of the time, but this past week he was home. And yeah, it's hard to share workspaces with other people and not to have any alone time. I like my alone time, and usually I get plenty of it just based on our schedules and being home so much. I think that also increased a little bit of the stress, a little too much of each other, which is why I'm in my bedroom right now and he's actually down in the garage. And who am I to argue with someone cleaning the garage, which is something that I've wanted him to do for probably 2 years. So it's happening now, which is awesome. Other canceled, in addition to my canceled knitting trips, the Zombie Apocalypse was canceled. They're doing a virtual one online, which I believe is open to everyone right now. It's going to be restricted in terms of the numbers, but Zombie Apocalypse online is available for people. And Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con got canceled, which made me very sad, but both of those events are just carrying over the registration to 2021. So I will have those to look forward to in 2021. And I'm hoping that next summer's travel plans are much more normal than this year's. 2020 is definitely memorable. It's going to go down in the memory books. My niece is turning 10 in 2 weeks, and they're talking about how her 10th birthday is going to be very different. So what have I been knitting? I have been knitting a fair amount. I do work from home, but I have noticed that I have been getting a lot of knitting, and I've been knitting on more projects than usual. I've actually been kind of on Sunday, I write a goal for every one of my projects for every day of what I want to get knit on it. And that's kind of been working for me. So I've very much been rotating through a lot of projects to a little bit here, a little bit there. And that's just what I felt like doing. Usually, I do 1 or 2 projects and I knit large chunks on them, but I had wanted to cast on more than usual, so I did. But let's back up. Let's talk about my FOs. Socks. So I finished my pumpkin socks. I started these in February and finished them in mid-April. And these are from a sock blank from Gail's Art that I was in part of her club, 2 or 3 years ago. And this was the Exploding Pumpkins, I guess it was 2017. The Exploding Pumpkins colorway. So you can kind of see the orange were these pumpkins that were on this green background, and then this dark was kind of leaves. So these are for me because anything to do with pumpkin is for me. So I did kind of just made it up as I went. I just did my normal toe up, and I kind of did a slip stitch, not a slip stitch, a broken kind of rib stitch. You can kind of see it a little bit there. But yeah, I'm really liking how they came out. I tried to made them a little taller than maybe I usually do for me. I used about 85 grams to get that, and I am a woman's US 10, so I have big feet. So I tend to use, 80 or so grams for socks for myself. So yeah, nothing too exciting on these. And for as much knitting as I've been doing, socks do take a while, for me anyways. I usually take probably 6 to 8 weeks for socks. So the fact that I did these in 6 weeks is about normal. Normally socks are just my travel project, but they did transition. The other project I did was a baby gift. My best friend from high school, my best friend period, but we met in high school, since high school, so we've been friends for 30 something years, is having her second baby. She's having a little girl in July, so that's exciting. So I knit her a little baby vertebrae. And she lives in Ohio, where it does get a little cooler, not like Southern California. So this is the baby vertebrae pattern by Kelly Von Nierkirk. The vertebrae pattern is something that she is a very popular pattern. She has a newborn version, which is free. I got the kids version, which I actually paid for, which is multiple sizes. And what I really liked is, in addition to having multiple sizes for different kids, up from newborn to small child, she also did the numbers for different weights. So I think it had fingering, worsted, and DK. So obviously I did the worsted. This is Caron Simply Soft in a speckled kind of, I think it's called lipstick. speckled kind of thing, and then a gray. It's just like a gray that I did. And so yeah, so I knit that. With the intention that this would probably, because she's going to be born in July, that this is the, I think, 6 to 9 month size, so that in the fall, this would be like kind of the perfect kind of gift. And Caron Simply Soft, because I would never give a non-knitter mom anything that they can throw in the wash. That's just not something I would do. So yeah, nothing really modifications. I followed it. The only thing I did have to do is this band I had to do multiple times. Initially I didn't pick up enough stitches. Then I used a needle size that made it too tight, and I really wanted, especially like the bottom, to go flush. So for something so small, I just did it multiple times, which is fine. You know, it's a gift. I wanted it to be right. So I will be mailing that off with some other gifts. I also bought, I think I bought a blanket for her, like a plushy blanket and like a toy and a book, and gonna send that out. She's having a virtual baby shower, which is nice since a lot of us live all over. So then I finished another pair of socks, and these were rather quick. And this was specifically because for upcoming travels that I might be doing, my girlfriend actually asked me to come out and watch her son, my godson, while she's having the baby, if possible, which I'm hoping it will be possible at that point. So I can go out and stay a few days. She's going to be having a C-section in the hospital planned, so I can watch her son while she is having baby number 2. So as part of that, I'm hoping I'll be able to see my family at the same time. I still haven't seen my brand new niece. She's going to be almost 5 months, 6 months. So I'm hoping that will be the only kind of travel plans that I have definite, is going out to my family for like the 4th of July, and then the next week going to Ohio to be with my friend. And all of this is dependent on the type of restrictions that are still in place. So crossing my fingers. My mom is crossing my fingers too. But so I might see my sister, and I had gotten a skein of yarn at Stitches SoCal. That was a fingering sock weight yarn in cotton, and it's actually Universal Yarn Bamboo Pop, and it's a 50% rayon, 30% cotton, 8% nylon, and it's like a little cute self-striping. Now they had this knit up in like a lot of baby clothes, but my sister is allergic to wool, so I've never been able to make her a pair of socks. I'm not even sure she'll really want a pair of socks, but I saw this yarn and I thought it'd be a good way to try to see if she likes socks, and to find a yarn where she could have socks, since I've made both my niece and my mom. I make my mom a lot of socks now. So yeah, so I knit her a pair of shorty socks in this Bamboo Pop. And I did shorty because I don't know if she's going to want them per se. Her feet are a little smaller than mine, so hopefully these are actually stretched out. This is a sock blocker for me. She wears a US 9, so it should be fine. And this yarn has a lot of stretch in it itself. So I think they'll fit her, and then if they don't, and she doesn't want them, then they'll fit my mom. And then, so I decided to knit shorties so that I wasn't putting a ton more extra time into potentially a pair of socks that weren't going to get worn. And because this is a cotton sock, I thought shorties would be perfect. And she is very much a pink person, my sister. So the colors were really cute. You know, there's the kind of those mottled with the pinkish and the purples, and yeah, so really pleased with this. I used about 60 grams, so I have a little bit left to use for something else. And I kind of want to test it to see how this yarn works out, because I think it's a good potential choice for other kids' kind of garments, because it is a cotton nylon and easily washable in theory. I haven't tried to wash them. So these are the socks for my sister. The socks themselves are my normal toe up. I just did stockinette, did my heel, and then just did a ribbed cuff. So nothing out of the ordinary for me. The last project I did. So for one of my WIPs, which I didn't bring up, is I didn't bring up my linen stitch blanket. But what I've decided is, because I have been knitting very regularly on my linen stitch blanket, to try to finish it this year, which is definitely going to happen. But I thought I would knit on the blanket for 3 weeks of the month, and then the other week I would do a charity project. So I picked up my scraps that I have had set aside for this for a while, and I did another Mother Bear. Now, the Mother Bear is a charity out of Minnesota where they send bears to Africa to give to kids. And I don't have a face on it yet. I'm hoping to do, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 bears this year to send. And I like to do all my faces at once. So I do the bear and I keep them faceless. And then when I'm done with all of them, I'll do all the faces at once. So yeah, so this is just this is worsted weight scraps. I have a whole bin of worsted weight scraps. Bigger bins kind of go the pants and the shirt, and then I have smaller kind of scraps that I do for embellishments. And I did just a basic simple one because it's been probably I don't think I made any last year, so 2 years since I made a bear. And I prefer to crochet my bears. You can see in the back it just sort of has a little bit of a line, but I don't know why, but I prefer to crochet over knit, so that's what I do. And yeah, it's cute, kind of a girly bear. And it took me exactly, I don't know, a few days. So I did, like, you know, the legs one day, and then the body, and then the arms, and then I knit, you know, connected them all and did the head. So a little bit each day goes well into my plans, and then that lets me have a bear at the end. So yeah, if you're interested in the Mother Bear project, just check it out. They have a website. The pattern is really easy to get. I forget how much it is, but you send in a nominal amount, and then they send you a paper pattern of the bear. And then when you donate the bear, you send, I think it's $3 that pays for basically the shipping of it to Africa. And there's been so many bears given away. And one great thing they do is they take pictures of all the kids with the bears and they upload them periodically, so you can go through and maybe find like the specific bear you made with the child that got it. And it is so cute when you do that. I think I've managed to do that once or twice. So great charity. It is definitely supported. I know that the Two Knitlet Chicks have a contest every year for mother bears, and they make insane amounts of mother bears. I think they're both over the 200s in terms of the number of bears they make. I think I'm still in, like, you know, the teens, but I do like to do a few every year. So cute and very squishy, and yeah. So that's all my FOs. Because I have been working on other larger projects that I started that had some issues with starting. As I said, I have been working on my linen stitch blanket. I have in my kind of plan, Monday through Friday, I do 2 rows, and then on Saturday and Sunday, I do 4 rows, and that gives me roughly an inch a week, a little more if I'm good. And so right now I am up to 64 inches in length. And the whole plan originally when I started this in 2016, January 1st, 2016, was to have it be 72 inches. And I'm still planning on doing that, and then I'm going to evaluate if I need it longer. Maybe, maybe not. But as it stands now, I have 8 inches left, which at the rate I'm going is only 3 more months, which is awesome. And considering I started the beginning of this year at 51, so I've done 13 inches through now, I am going to finish it this year. It is going to be done. It will be a 4-year plus project that will be finished this year. So very excited about that. Then casting on new projects. Let's see, let's go with the first one. So I started The Birds of a Feather by Andrea Mowry. And I had this in my Make 9, which means it was in McHugh, which means I had yarn set aside for it. And the yarns I had set aside were Suburban Stitcher all suburban stitcher that I had picked up at various times at Zombie Apocalypse. And I thought they would go well together. And I should put a picture up, but the long story short is I started with the 3 colors, which was a kind of pink purple, a light pink, and then a gray purple for the mohair, and got, I don't know, 12 inches, 5 or 6 repeats, and was looking at it, and it just was not jiving. I'm like, this is no bueno, no bueno. So I ended up ripping all that out. So that was like 2 weeks of work that I ripped out. But you know, when you're doing something and you're going through and you think about it, I'm not sure this is working. I'm not sure this is working. I've learned in my many years of knitting that if I'm still asking that multiple times, I need to stop. I need to rip it out. Otherwise, I'm going to make a project that I think is ugly, that is going to go into my gift bin, but that I will never actually gift because I think it's ugly. And I didn't want to do that because the yarn was beautiful. The yarns themselves were beautiful. So what I did is I went back in, and I knew of the mohair I wanted to use. It's the Suburban Stitcher Silky Mohair Lace in Happy Accident. Is a kind of gray base with like purples and some, I'll show it in a second. I went back in and then found another yarn in my stash that was purple based. That was much better. So this is what I have so far. Is that the front? Yeah. Ooh, it looks a little different on the camera. It's much more muted in person than it is on the camera. That gray is really kind of showing. In person, it definitely blends more than it is on the camera. So this is Happy Accident, this kind of gray with the purples. This purpley light is Northern Bee Studios Soft Stock in Spilled Wine that I got as a door prize at Zombie Apocalypse in 2018. And then I decided just to make it pop a little more with some purple that I had in my stash. And this is Wandering Wool Ossable. And I had, I don't know, half a ball left from my project. And I started this and have been going on it, and I like it way better. Way better. It's all the grays and the purples and stuff. They all just blend together much, much better. Much more beautifully. So this is, again, Birds of a Feather by Andrea Mowry, and you do sections of mohair with a little lace section here and then some garter section. So once you get the pattern down, it is very semi-mindless knitting. It is, I'm still in the increasing. I think I have one more section, and then I'm going to be at the width, and then I don't increase that much anymore. And I just continue in these sections where I do. I'm not explaining it well. I don't increase anymore, and then it becomes even more mindless. So this is Birds of a Feather by Andrea Mowry. The only other change is when I ripped it back out, I had knit it on the needles called for in the pattern, and I decided I wanted it to be a little more narrow. It was going to be a bit wide for me, so I went down a needle size when I cast back on. So I think I'm doing it on US 5s now instead of 6s. Yeah. Actually, I can look at my needle, make sure that I'm telling the truth. Yes, I'm doing on US 5 instead of US 6s. So yeah, so I'm loving this. I do have to say that ripping out mohair is not fun. Let's just say, not fun at all. But I did it, and in general, I am weaving in ends as I go, which is why you don't see any. I find that that is way better for me. So I'm weaving in the ends. Very easy to weave in. The only mistake I made is that when I ripped out, I had some smaller sections of the silk mohair, and I was like, okay, I'll just magic knot them together because it's so fuzzy, you're not going to see where that magic knot is. And so, because I want to use every little bit up, so I thought. I knit, I think it's in this section actually. I knit it, and then right here I saw a hole. The slip stitch doesn't hold in silky mohair, which if I had pulled even just a little bit, I would have realized. So I had to rip back this whole section and restart it again. So just goes to show about the process knitter. I don't mind ripping back and redoing it, though the time of not having an FO to show is kind of frustrating, but I will be happier when I'm happy with it, if that makes sense. My goal originally was to try to have it finished by the end of May, but considering where it's at now, it's probably mid-June. So have that completed in mid-June. Now, the 2 yarns that didn't work with it are super lovely, and I'm kind of a weird one in that when a yarn is wound up, I want to use it. I do not like to keep balls in my stash, if that makes sense. I like only skeins. So I decided these 2 yarns were lovely, and I liked them together to find a project with them and the cast on right away since it was already balled up. So this is Suburban Stitcher in her Stitcher sock in Tandoori and her sock single in Evangeline. And these. So this is the Tandoori with the oranges and the pink, and this is the Evangeline. And this is what I tried with this gray. And individually they seem to look good in my head, but they did not look good together. But I think that these look good together. And this is a free pattern that has been on Ravelry. It's called the Melonia Wrap by Christina Campbell, and she offered it up as kind of a free COVID pattern. You know how some people are offering things? And she had actually given it as a wrap, and what it is that you do these lace section and then you do a garter till half and then you switch it. So on the other half it will be the pink is the lace, and then the Tandoori will be the garter. And she did hers as a wrap, so hers is wider. I decided I wanted to do mine as a scarf. So basically the modifications is I took out a repeat, I went down a needle size, and I increased the lace section. So hers only has 2 repeats of lace, and I did 3, so that I'm going to get a longer, thinner scarf that I'm going to block out. And I think I'm going to give it to my mom. We'll see. But I really like this. This is really pretty. And this is also another one. This lace is easy to memorize once you got it. So yeah. So I was happy that I was able to use the yarns that I had already wound up and started this. This also, because both of them are fingering weight projects, which is on the slower side for me anyways, this will probably also be finished right around the same time in mid-June if I keep working on it. And the way I cut this is I do, like, one day I do 1 section of lace, next day I do 2, 3, 4. So I'm averaging 1 of these sections or 1.5 of these sections a week. So at that rate, I should be good for June. But I mean, how beautiful is these? Diana Suburban Stitcher does beautiful, beautiful yarns. I have picked up a few skeins of hers from ZK. I was in her Advent mini, not last year, but the year before. And she has a podcast if you are interested, and she does beautiful yarns. Beautiful, beautiful. And she's so funny. I love watching her podcast. Very down to earth. I've had a chance to meet her at Zombie and Apocalypse too. So that is the Melonia wrap, and it is a free pattern. The Birds of a Feather was a paid pattern by Andrew Maury, though I got it on, she did a 50% off on all our pattern sale, and it picked it up then because it was already in my queue to do this year. So these are the 2 main ones I'm working on. But then I needed a pair of socks because I had to go out, and I needed a pair of socks because I finished one. Now, I was thinking about doing another mindless sock, but nothing really appealed to me. So instead, what I'm doing is a sock called the Striptease by General Hog Buffer, which is a pattern I did last summer, which creates this it's a really cool construction, and it's a really interesting way to use scraps. And if you haven't seen this, my needles are all kind of weird. You basically knit the cuff, and then you knit down in strips, and then these strips join. And so you have 6 strips make the sock, and there's some way to turn it and everything, and it turned out really well. I made a pair for my boyfriend, and I just thought the construction was genius, and it would look really interesting in kind of scraps of blending colors, and I wanted to make a pair for myself. So this is what I decided to cast on, and it is relatively mindless, not like I can do because you just basically are knitting a strip, and then even when I go with the next strip, you just are casting on. It's just back and forth, knit and purl, knit and purl. It's very easy. And on those sections where it does get a little more complicated, the turning of the heel and things like that, that's more complicated on a normal sock anyways, and that wouldn't be my mindless knitting. And because even though this is purse knitting, I am home a lot right now, so I'm trying to work on it. But let me show you the colors. So for the heel, the cuff and the toe, I'm using this gray that I had already wound up because I don't like having stuff wound up. But this is just a good neutral, and this is Forbidden Fibers Justice, and this is an 80-10-10 and just a gray that I picked up, and I'd wound it up for another project and I didn't like it, so it has been staring at me. And then my 3 stripes are going to be shades of blue, gray, and white. There we go. So this is the remains of a Gales sock blank that was Cardinal and Pine, which was this really cool red cardinal on a white and blue background. So there is, you can't see any, but there are some red in the middle of it from where that cardinal was. And that's why it's sort of kinky-ish, is because I actually wound it from the remainder I had in the sock blank. Then I'm using some self-striping I had in the Patriots colorway that I had made as pair of socks for my mom. So it is red, gray, white, and blue. And then I found or pulled a mini from my stash, and this was from Zombie and Apocalypse a few years ago when the goodie bag, the yarns, were minis from 7 different dyers. And I don't remember where this blue was from because I lost the card, but this is just a solid blue. So these are going to be the strips. So there'll be 2 strips of each color, and then the gray will be bringing them together. So super excited. One, I think this will be, it's a very interesting construction, and I like interesting socks. I like using 2 of these are in my stash, so they'll be out because they were enough sock yarn to be still in my stash, and I'm trying to knock stuff out of my stash for the end of the year. This wasn't actually, my minis for the most part are not in my stash, just because it's harder for individual minis, I think, to be cataloged. I usually only do full skeins unless I get a set of minis. If I get a set of 7 or a set of 5, then that goes in as one set in my thing. So this actually isn't in my stash, but yeah. So this is the Strip Tease by General Hog Buffer. Hog Buffer? It's great. But I like the first one so much, and it actually was knitting it at Zombie Apocalypse last year, so I'll be knitting it and finishing it up around when I should have been there this year for the spare socks for myself. So that's all the knitting I have. I am restraining myself from casting on all the things. Mainly because although I would like to cast on all the things, having all the projects when we're out of pandemic time and I have less time to knit again would make me more stressed. So I'm trying to be nice to my future self and restrain myself to the projects I have on, which is why I have that plan where I'm saying what I'm knitting every day. Though I don't stress myself out if I don't. I just basically check what I did finish. So if I have a Monday through Sunday kind of plan and I only make it through the knitting that equals Friday on Sunday, well, that's just all I've checked. And then for the next week, I just change it up. But yeah, after this, I'm casting on a sweater. I have 3 sweater quantities, I think, that are queued up. So next one after this will be a sweater, which I'm not sure where I'll be able to wear it, since I'm not sure when I will be at a knitting event that will warrant a brand new sweater, but it will happen. So what else have I been doing? Like most people, a lot of TV and movies. I can honestly say, and this is when I knew I had to get up more, is that my butt hurt from sitting on the couch so long. Yeah, I had that's when I was like, all right, I need to get up. I need to go for a walk. I need to go do chores. I need to do something because I'm like, that is just not good. But what have I been watching? I finished all the British Bake Off that was on Netflix, and that to me is just wonderful background kind of noise TV. Very soothing, very just kind of look up every so often and just see the wonderful things. I might have also encouraged my baking, but I'm no baker like them. I did watch Tiger King, though I felt dirty after I finished it. And even parts of it, like, this was my face. I'm like, really? I have to say I fell into it just because so many people were watching it, and like even some of my work buddies, they were just like, it's just so over the top, and it is. But you are not missing anything if you don't watch it. Let's just say you really aren't. Yeah, there's just, if you didn't already know, there are just some very interesting people out there in the world, and this was a weird documentary about them, and yeah, so can't get that time back. I did watch Another Life, which is a Netflix show with Katie Sackhoff, which is a sci-fi show, basically about a alien object that lands on our planet, and then there's two stories of one of the people studying it, and two, the story of this spaceship they send out to try to trace the signal. And I love Katie Sackhoff, like from back in Battlestar Galactica days, and then she was on Longmire, and I just like her. So I watched this, and I liked parts of it. It had some really good things going for it, but then they threw in like some teenage soapy stuff that I'm just like, who's your audience, people? Who are you trying? Like, the spaceship, the whole thing, like it was piloted, you know, the whole crew was like 20-something-year-olds where all they wanted to do was jump on each other. And I was just, come on, let's be realistic. These people want to be smart enough to be the smartest people that we send on spaceships. Come on, we're the adults. But if I ignored or fast forwarded through those portions, I did like the story, the science fiction story. I'm a sucker for that. So I think it is getting another season, so I will watch it. Fortunately, once I start watching a show, I pretty much watch it till it ends. Like, I just am like that. But would I recommend it? Maybe. If you're you like a lot of the sci-fi alien kind of shows, and you can skip the teeny bopper part of it, great. But if that bugs you, it was a 50-50 for me. Altered Carbon, awesome. Anthony Mackie was the main character this season, and this is kind of set in a future where they've developed technology where you can basically download your personality, yourself, to what's called a stack, and then these stacks can be moved from body to body, and this allows them to basically beam themselves across space and into different bodies. Of course, there's a lot of class distinctions because it is very expensive, so the rich people, you know, have multiple backups and augmented bodies and things like that. And it's about a soldier that they bring back and his search for the love of his life, who was also a soldier in this other thing. It's very well done. Watched the first season before the second season. It took me a little bit to get into Anthony Mackie because I liked the actor in the first season, and by being able to jump into another body, you basically can jump into another actor. And what initially bothered me is some of the mannerisms didn't come over. He just either chose not to or passed his time. But after I got over that for the first episode, I really enjoyed it. And that is a true kind of hardcore science fiction show on Netflix. I just lost my train of thought. On network television, Superstore, which I've been watching. We're in the season 5. I'm really sad America Ferrera is leaving. I'm not sure how that's going to fare for that show. It's just a good half-hour kind of comedy with offbeat people that I enjoy watching. Tommy was one I started watching, and that's because I am a big Edie Falco fan from Nurse Jackie and things like that. So she started a program, I think, on CBS where she is the chief of police for Los Angeles as a strong female character who is also a gay woman and has a daughter and different things like that. And I'm a sucker for police procedurals. I just am. I just am. So I actually am really liking it. It has 10 episodes. I'm not sure if it's going to get renewed. I think it's on the cusp, but I hope it does. I really like the character. She's a very strong female character. She doesn't kind of get pushed around. She uses empathy in her kind of policing. So it has been something, and I liked watching, and I like Edie Falco. Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist. This is something that I started watching on a whim because I like songs where they sing. I watched, I watched a lot of those type of shows, and this was interesting, and so I started watching it, and I got hooked. And it is basically about a girl who something happens during an MRI, and like all these songs are downloaded, so she hears people's feelings, their heart songs, and they sing them as a song and dance to her. And it's got a great cast with Lorelai Gilman. It's not Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls, and then one of the characters was someone who was on the show with all of the high school kids who sang that I loved, and I'm blanking on it. But it was one of the secondary characters on that. One of the guys from Pitch Perfect. So they have some talent. And then I like that they have like Mary Steenburgen, who's a great actress, not the strongest singer, which I appreciate. It's like, of course, if you sang your heart song, not everyone is going to be the best singer, but they sing it with pizzazz, they sing it with feeling, and it is very enjoyable. It is 13 episodes. It has not necessarily been renewed for next year, though. I really hope it is. It just makes me smile most of it, but there's a lot of seriousness in it because the character's father has this weird disease where he's basically shutting down, like he can't communicate, like he's got some type of nerve disease, and going through that, and then loves and loss and different things. And so highly enjoyable. If you have cable, it's on demand is how I watch it. And it's called Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist. And Midsummer Murders, I got season 20 on DVD and watched it. I love that show. It's a UK based police procedural, been on for 20 seasons, and I've watched them all. Movies, what have I been watching? I've been watching some of the Netflix originals like Uncorked and Love Repeat, which are just, I don't think Uncorked was actually a Netflix original. I think it was one that was supposed to come out but got picked up by Netflix. But anyways, Netflix movies per se. But they've been enjoyable. What would I recommend? I finally watched Parasite. It was available on Hulu. I have so many online things, guys. I have cable because we watch sports, even though right now there's no sports. I have Hulu now because apparently my cell phone gives it to me, which I didn't realize. I have Disney Plus through my sister. I have Netflix. We have CBS on demand because of Star Trek. And we have Spectrum or something through his cell phone. And we all watch different things on all of them. It's crazy. Anyways. I am talking. What did I see? Well, I saw the Terminator Dark Fate, which I actually enjoyed. I thought it was interesting to see Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger back together. And I've liked that franchise. So I thought it was a good addition. And some of them weren't always, like the fourth one. But I enjoyed it. I've been watching just random movies. I'm very much one who watches the previews of my Netflix movies and will add random movies to my Netflix queue, and then they come through. And I don't remember what they were. So I saw one like that was, what was it? Paradise Hills, which had, who was it? Some young things, but it was basically set in this kind of weird future where these well-off girls are sent to this island because they are not conforming. And it's this beautifully shot visual, and there's like a twist and it has the girl from Pumpkin on Netflix, and then was it Emma Roberts and Aquafina? Like, it was interesting, and it was a Spanish movie, I guess, but it was beautifully shot. The visuals were interesting, and it was kind of this interesting movie. Paradise Hills. You should check it out. And yeah, just random. I saw Blinded by the Light. That was about that was a UK based movie where he's inspired by Bruce Springsteen songs. Yeah. Books I've been reading. In addition, I finally finished that Robert Jordan book 11, and then I took a break, and then I on Kindle have been downloading stuff through my library, and I read Kate Castillo in Plain Sight, which is a Kate Burkholder. It's a murder mystery, Kate Burkholder series, which I think I've mentioned before, which I enjoy. So that was like a short story that was available. And then I had some sort of trashy novels, which I loved reading, paranormal or fantasy. So Sherilyn Kenyon, I've been reading her stuff for years, and she's got a lot. She does she does multiple series, but Acheron, that character, anyways, these were total romantic paranormal trash. It's the new series she's doing called Dead Men Walking, which is like these demons and stuff, but are brought back, and it's set in the 1700s, and they're on ships. So yeah, I read the first two of that series, which was good, except I stayed up too late, which is why I don't usually read on Kindle, because I have no self-control. So if I start reading at night, all of a sudden I'll start reading at 8 and say, I'll just read for an hour. Then it's 1 o'clock and I finish the book. And I know that about myself. I have no willpower. I don't even know where the time goes. I don't get tired. Just have to finish. So I did that on one of them, and I had to go to work the next day and was cranky. And so I'm like, I can only read on the weekends. I can only read on a Friday and Saturday night so that I don't do this. So that's kind of all that's been going on. I know I've just rambled. If you had no interest in any of that, you went through all that, books and stuff, glad to see you're still here. I already talked about my travel. So sadly, Zombie and Apocalypse is not happening in June, and Comic-Con's not happening in July. Hoping to go see my friends and family. Tentatively right now Morocco's on, but I think I'm 50-50 on that. So yeah, so I don't have any travel plans, and it makes me sad. I'm hoping we get back to normal with that. Not sure. I just, yeah, it's sad when I don't have any travels to look forward to. Other than that, that's kind of it. I hope everyone is making it through this. I hope that everyone's family has been healthy and safe. I know that there are a lot of people who've been affected by this. Knock on wood, I'm very lucky I haven't yet. But despite us reopening, when you look at the numbers and the population and how this particular virus is going to go through, I think that we're going to be living with it for quite a bit longer. Not weeks, not months, but at least a year or more. But we'll get through it. I have been very heartened by all of the outpouring of different support things that I've seen on Instagram and YouTube, and yeah, there's a lot of good that's come out of this, which is great. So that's kind of all I have until next month. I'll probably be back in June to tell you what's been going on, and hopefully we're back a little bit normal. Until then, as I said, you can find me as AllisonTurned31 on Instagram and Ravelry, though I have not been Instagramming much lately. I've sort of not even been checking it as much. I've been kind of taking a not intentional break, but there's just so much because people are home right now, like in terms of Instagram, that I have a bit of an OCD complex where I like to keep caught up on it. I don't like to miss things for friends, and it was just being stressful, so I stopped checking it. And I haven't felt the urge to post. It's been weird. I've been sort of hibernating. But as I said, happy May, everyone. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I already wished my mother a happy Mother's Day. I wish I could have given her a hug and a kiss. And happy day to all those women who chose not to be mothers like me. Motherless by choice, but I appreciate all the wonderful, wonderful women I know out there who have given birth to wonderful people and raised wonderful humans. That is a very tough job, and I appreciate you. So, that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.